Now we have seen the concept of interfaces. We have seen that how you can dynamically open the browser. Alright, but but after you open the browser, you have to work with the page as well. You go to yahoo.com, you have to click on a link over there. You have to manage, you can say, buttons or components on the web page over there. So what we have is that for that we have this day 4. Okay, in day 4 we will see how Selenium works. Selenium works on the page source. First thing is this. What do you mean by page source? If I go to any browser or if I go to any website, for example, even my website, okay, qtpselenium.com. If you right click on the page, you can see the page source. Most of you must be knowing about this. This is the HTML page source. The page source will always remain same for a website across different browsers. There is hardly any website which has got a different page source for different browser. This is the response from the server actually. Now this is an HTML language page source. In HTML we have got tags and we have got attributes. Okay, right. For example, this is a div tag. Div tag has got the attribute class associated with it. Okay, right. So, right. Out here, this is a UL tag. Whatever starts with the conical bracket is a tag name. And the tag has attribute. This is the class attribute. This is the body tag. It's got no attribute associated with it. So HTML is composed of tags and attributes, and with the combination of these tags and attributes, we go and identify the objects on the web page. Okay, how do we do that? You'll come to know in some time. Just be patient. Now, first of all, you have to analyze the page source. In Selenium, every time you have to analyze the page source. And to analyze the page source, you cannot just directly go to the page source every time. There are tools available. For example, there is a tool like this. This is known as a Firebug. I've installed it on my PC. If you move your mouse anywhere on the page, you get the page source of that particular page. Okay, right. This tool is known as Firebug. For example, if I go and move my, if I click on this arrow, this is an arrow over here. Okay, after clicking on this arrow, if I move my mouse over Selenium Training section, right, and this will be the h1 tag. Okay, right, fine. Now, how this is helpful and how do you install this Firebug and all, I'll tell you. For first of all, in Mozilla, just go to Google and type download Firebug. Okay, you go to the first screen. Right, and you click on this button, add to Firefox. When you click on this button add to Firefox, what will happen is that Firebug will be added as an add-on on Firefox. Might be your Firefox will be restarted. If you have an older version of Firebug, you can scroll down and you can actually click on any version over here, and on the next page you can, if the add to Firefox button is enabled, you can actually um, add it. Guys, just a minute. I'm sorry. There is a pigeon which has come in my room. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Yeah. So out here you can add the plugin to the Firefox. Okay, fine. All right. So once you have installed it, it's India. Anything can happen in India, you know. So my door was open and there's a pigeon which has come and is just sitting on my bench. Okay. Anyways, well, let's continue. So out here, once you have installed it, you can analyze the page source, and you can analyze it in a very quick way. You just need to click on this arrow and be in the HTML tab over here. Click on this arrow and you will see the page source. Okay, wherever you move the mouse, you will have the page source. All right, fine. Okay, now how do you do this in Chrome? How do you do this in IE? That's the next question. So that's what I'll answer you now. Okay, if you open up Chrome, and in Chrome you go to any website, and suppose I'm on this website, right? And if I want to analyze this, then in Chrome you don't have any add-on or something, it is inbuilt. It's known as Chrome Inspector. Suppose I want to analyze this text over here, request OTP. You can right click on it. Okay, on this website of Indian Railways, this is disabled. Alright, hold on. Let me go to Magic Bricks. This is again a different website. If I want to analyze, say, rent, you can right click and you can say inspect. If the right click is disabled, there are various other ways as well. Okay, you can select inspect over here. Right, and you will have the page. There is a small arrow over here as well through which you can do that. Now investigating the page source is very important. This is very basics and I need to tell you. But you know, you don't need to investigate it in every browser. You can make the script in one browser and run it in all the browsers, because this page source remains the same across all the browsers. Okay, right. If I open up IE, and on IE, if I go to the website, or if I'm on this website, right, and if I have to analyze, say, news, then you hit F12 of the keyboard. Alright, and if you click on this arrow and move the mouse over various tabs, okay, you will get the page source corresponding to that one. If you click on it, you'll get the page source highlighted. But I has the most difficult one, iDeveloper tool it's known as. But what we do is that most of the times we analyze the page in Firefox and we use it across different other browsers. if I analyze, suppose this link, this text, be careful with old versions in Firefox, then the page source, this h2 tag, will be there in Chrome as well as it will not change. So I can analyze it, write my code, right? Okay. Now, anybody with any questions? Right. How do I identify objects now? Suppose I go to, just a minute. Let's take up a very simple example. Alright. Let's go to the welcome page of Gmail. Okay. If I have to go on this page and if I have to write a simple script which will write, which will go to gmail.com and which will enter your user ID and try to log in. Okay. Alright. So if I analyze this email ID field, this is an input tag. Okay. It's got various attributes, ID, value, and lot of things, placeholder, name. Fine. So with the help of this tag and the attributes, help will help Selenium to identify this text field and will help Selenium to write something inside it. Right. So for doing that, if I open the Java documentation, just a minute, you go to seleniumhq.org and click on the download link. Fine. And out here, you go to the Java documentation, and in the documentation, if you look at the WebDriver interface, then the WebDriver interface has got many functions inside it. Close. All the driver classes will have these functions, right? Okay. All like the function which we used get title, or the function which we used over here get to a new web page. Similarly, there is a function known as find element. Find element function will go and find an element on the web page. Okay, right. What do you mean by element? Basically a button, a link, a text, anything on the web page is a element. Okay, right, fine. So out here in Selenium, we have got something known as WebElement interface. It represents a general HTML element. A button is a web element. A link is a web element. Okay. You can say a text field is a web element. Right. It's got all methods called. It represents a generic HTML element. Alright. And I'll show you practically what it means. Everything in Selenium is known as a web element basically. Whatever is there on a page is known as a web element. Okay, if I create out here, I'm launching Mozilla. If I go to gmail.com and on Gmail, on Gmail, if you have to write something in the text field, then you will fire the command driver dot, you'll get the function find element. You'll find the element by a certain criteria, and find element function automatically returns you the reference of web element. Okay, right now how do you find the element? Finding an element can be done in various ways. These are known as locator strategies. Okay, there are various locator strategies available. Okay, right. So for example, by class defines the locator strategy. There is an inbuilt class by. If you look at the documentation of Selenium, if you scroll up, you will see that there is a class by. By class holds the mechanisms used to locate the elements in a document on a web page basically. For example, by the class name, by ID. For example, there is a link. You have to identify by link text. You can use link text. Don't get confused. I'm just telling you some basic things. Once 15-20 minutes are over, you'll come to know a lot about it. Just follow what I'm teaching you right now. Okay, if I write driver.findElement, what does this mean? That go and find an element on the page. By which criteria? It is defined by the by class. Okay, right. So what will by class do? By tells you the criteria. Like if I write by dot, you get lot of criteria with which you can identify the element. The easiest one is ID. If the element has got an ID, it's the easiest way to identify it in web applications, because ID is something unique. In mobile applications, you have got IDs. When you use Appium, different elements can have same ID or something. Okay, but in case of web applications, IDs, they don't change. All right, fine. So if I write by ID, you can specify the ID of this email field. If you identify this email field, it's got the ID email. Okay, right. So you can mention it over here. That means driver.findElement by the ID email, okay, will go and find an element on the web page with the ID email. This is the criteria. The criteria to locate the elements is specified by this class, and the most easiest one is ID. And this will return you the reference of an interface known as WebElement Interface. Okay, right. So if you look at the documentation again, right, we will go to the documentation. Hold on, I closed it, I guess. No, this WebElement interface has got few classes implementing it and all, and it's got functions which you can use to interact with elements on the page. Like I said, everything in Selenium is a web element. Right. Okay. For example, functions like click, like if you have to click somewhere, or get the text out of it. Is the element displayed? Is it enabled? Is it selected? Send keys is used to type into an element. Okay, right. So you will have the web element email over here on, and on that email which function you want to fire. I can write email dot say send keys. I can print my name inside the email field. Send keys is used to type something. Okay, so when I run this code, it will open up Mozilla. Yes, web element is necessary, Raghav. Okay, everything in Selenium is web element. Don't confuse it with the web element of QTP. That is very different. Okay, every element you extract from the web page, every element which you extract under the web page comes under web element. Okay, and you see that Ashish is written over here. If I want to click on this next button, alright, then I will have to use the page. You'll have to analyze this next button. This next button has got an ID. It's also got a name. Okay, so name is also a very good identifying attribute. Alright, so you can write over here web element submit button equals to driver dot find element by the name. Okay, you can give it the name as sign in. Now name is also in by class. You also have the criteria name. Okay, right. There are others as well. I'll discuss all the locator strategies and all. Okay, you can see the name out here. You can place the name selection criteria or the locator criteria over here, and this will extract the submit button, give you this web element corresponding to it, and you can fire the function submit button dot. What do you want to do in the button? I want to click on the button, so you can use the click function. Right. So when you run this, okay, when you run the program, you will see that it tries to put up the name as Ashish, right, and that's how it works. Okay, right, fine. Anyone with any question? It's very simple. Every time you want to extract something, driver dot find element, every time. Now every time you will not get ID or name. This was the very simple example which I took. What is inside the click function? This is the you can say this is the hidden secret in Selenium. Okay, you can see the Selenium source code and you'll understand. That's what Selenium is. Selenium is a tool. It's a tool to automation. It's a tool for automation. It's got various inbuilt features which we use. Okay, right. Basically, JavaScript commands and all are fired. You won't understand those. But people who made this tool made automation easy. Okay, they removed the headache for you to actually write the code to click. Alright, and that's how it works. Yes, Fareed. Okay, now the next thing is, what if any element has got no ID or name? How do you identify it? Okay, we'll do that next time when we do the XPaths and all and CSS selectors and all. And what if two elements have the same ID? What will happen in that case? IDs are supposed to be unique. I have written driver.find element by the ID email. Okay, right. Okay, if you use driver.find element by ID email and if two elements have the same ID, look what Selenium does is that it scans the page like this. from left to right side, and it goes down. If there are two elements, one is over here and one is over here, and both of them have the same ID, then Selenium will use the first one. It will ignore the second one. If you want to use the second one, there are ways available. I'll tell you about that. But as per the Java doc, if you look at the find element function, if you move your mouse over there, it will tell you, it will find the first web element using the given method. The first one. Alright. Generally, the IDs should be unique. If they are not unique, you should actually tell your developer to make them unique. Because this is an unwritten rule in automation that ID is supposed to be unique, or in development as well. Okay. Right. So we will stop here for today. Okay.